The rand is weaker, giving up some earlier gains after US Treasury yields slipped from 16-year highs. We're now joined by Roy Mutooni, analyst at ABSA Asset Management, to help us dissect these and other market-related news. Thank you very much, Roy, for your time. So the rand fell to its weakest level against the dollar in 4 months on Wednesday, potentially clouding the outlook on inflation with resurgent international oil prices reflected in higher fuel prices.
No, absolutely. Yes. So this is all driven by that strong long bond yield in the U.S. As yields rise there, they're attracting capital out of emerging markets and everywhere, and that just results in a weaker rand. And this is a trend we should expect to continue until rates stabilize or at least hit a peak in that country.
Okay. Oil prices inched up, clawing back some of the previous session's big losses.
Well, remember, the whole story about oil is the balance between supply and demand. Up until now, the big suppliers, so Russia and the Middle East, have been constraining their supply, which has pushed prices up. But it just seems now that demand is relatively weak, and there's fears that you could be entering into a slowdown or recession into the coming year. And as a result, those oil prices that had gotten close to about $100 have started coming off, because it's a real fear. When you're looking at inventories piling up in the US, in China, and in a couple of other places, there's a clear question as to where demand is actually going. The sellers are still insisting on keeping supply off the market. Let's see how long they can hold off. If they brought any of that supply onto market, you might actually see prices coming even lower than they are now.
Less than a week after Portia Derby called it quits as Transnet CEO and CFO, Nkululeko Dlamini resigned. The CEO of Transnet Freight Rail, Siza Mzimela, has now also resigned. What's going on?
Well, it's quite clear this management team that was appointed, say, 3 years ago, lost the confidence of the board and the shareholder, and it's not a surprise. The performance has been really poor. We're exporting a whole less, and there's a whole story around the country having missed out on the benefits of the commodity boom that has been in place over the past 3 years during their tenure. So it just seems like it's a refocusing and a clear out. This management team is moving on. The board is asserting itself. Let's see who it appoints. Maybe some new appointments with a little bit more industry experience and backing of the board might be able to put this whole conglomerate into place.
Mondi has concluded its exit from Russia with the finalization of the sale of Mondi there and 2 other affiliates for 80 billion ruble in cash. Help us make sense of the sale.
So this sale was part of that exit from Russia that a lot of corporates have announced at the time of the Ukraine invasion. It's taken a little bit of time. There's been a few false starts, but it's finally been concluded, and it's quite clear that the money is actually going to come through. In all likelihood, a lot of that money will be paid to shareholders in the form of a special dividend. The business continues. Russia wasn't that big a component of it, and the management team has solid plans to continue to grow outside of Russia. So I think the conclusion of this deal is a positive for the business. They can focus on operations and move on from everything that's happening in Russia.
Okay. Blackberry is planning an IPO for its Internet of Things business. Talk us through those developments.
So Blackberry has 2 businesses. One is Internet of Things and the other is cybersecurity. It's struggled to grow earnings in recent times. So I think they went through a whole strategic review. And as part of that review, they figured that those 2 businesses require very different management styles and very different levels of investment. So they figured that they're probably better off managing cybersecurity, which is a lower margin, later cycle play, whereas Internet of Things is something that they can actually release to be listed on the market, have different management, and grow in line with its peers. I think the market likes this decision. This is a business that has really struggled in recent times, so let's see how successful they'll be as markets fall.
ABSA Asset Management Analyst Roy Mutooni, thank you very much for your time.